Alright, today I am going to show you how to make a modal menu that looks something like this. Only when we click it, it displays a menu like so. So, if this is something you would like to do in your website, this is a demo on how to do it. So, first things first. This page for me is a full-size website. So, the first thing I want to do is I've got my navigation and a makeshift section here for information that would go inside. So the next thing I want to do is go ahead and code out my modal. So here I've got my menu modal, and I'm going to style that out by creating a section called modal. So I'm going to do a section, and I'm going to give that section a class of modal. So the next thing I want to do is go ahead and put whatever I want inside of my modal in the middle. In this case, I want to do a couple different links to a couple different pages on my website. So for example, I'm going to do this one as index.html, and then this one will be home. I'm going to just go ahead and duplicate that a few times and change the information. Oh, and in case you didn't know, the feature for duplicating a line is Command or Control D. So now I've got my modal created, and I want to go ahead and style it. Well, for my modal, I want my modal to have a width. Well, first I gotta select the modal, don't I? So I want this modal to have a height and a width of 100%. So I'm gonna start off with a height of 100% and a width of 100% to follow that up, and go ahead and give it a background color so you can see it. I'm gonna do a background color of gray. And so now, when we go to view this, it should have a gray background color, which here's our modal down here. Right now it's displaying as another section, which is fine. We'll fix that here in a minute. So with this background color and our stuff popping up for the modal, we're going to go ahead and display it so that we have it centered on the front part of the page. So to do that, I want to go ahead and do the display flex attributes to center everything. And to make everything go from top to bottom, I want to add flex direction column here. So now when we go back and we view our section and I refresh the page, everything is centered in the middle of our section here. So the next thing I want to do is position this where it will appease to my needs. So I want to go ahead and do a position of fixed for this because we don't want it to move when we call it. And we're going to give it a top of 100 pixels because my navigation is 100 pixels high, and a left of 0 to align it to the left. So now when I view it on this page, it's fixed to my top section. So now we can't scroll down to it anymore. It's just these guys. So now I'm going to go ahead and style my links because that's going to bother me. Now I've got a prettier website page. So now I want to hide my modal so that when I click on that button, it will display itself. So we want to change display flex to display none here. And obviously that's not going to display anything anymore, so it's hidden. So now we're going to write a little bit of JavaScript code to make these items come into play. So to write JavaScript, I'm going to link in some stuff down here at the bottom, but first I'm going to create the files. So I'm going to go over here and add a new directory, and I'm going to call this directory JS for JavaScript. And inside that directory, I'm going to add a new JavaScript file. So I'm going to name this JavaScript file app so that it's app.js. And now I can write stuff in here. So the first thing I want to do on my app.js is I want to create a variable called clicked. When I create this variable, I want to set it equal to false. So when I'm saying this, I'm saying that clicked, whenever you click anything, it means that it's automatically going to say that you haven't clicked it. So when I open the web page, that main modal that we were looking at, it will not display on default. So now I'm going to create some icons that will select my menu button and toggle a class called toggle, which we'll style in the CSS in just a moment. So to do this, before I write any code, I need to link in all of my stuff in here. So you may remember when we're linking in our CSS sheets, we link them in at the top. But for the JavaScript sheets, we actually want to link them in at the bottom. And to do that, we go right above the body tag, and we're going to type in script, go inside that tag, src, and then we're going to link to the files we want to link. So in this case, I want to link in my js/app.js. There's also another thing we need to link into this web page. It's actually something called jQuery. So to get to jQuery, you just have to search jQuery on here. And we're going to go to the first link that pops up called jQuery, and we're going to download jQuery. What we want to do, rather than downloading this, is we want to copy the link address for this first one, and then we can just paste that link address into here in the same way that we just did. Make sure that your jQuery is linked in before any of your handwritten JavaScript files, or else they won't run when you try to use jQuery in them. So now that I've got jQuery added in, I can use the $sign to call some functions over here on the right by using my jQuery file. So I'm going to declare a $sign to start my function, and I'm going to say that when menu, which is this button here, and you have to make sure you call the dot menu, is clicked, .click, then we want to toggle this function. So now when we .click this function, we want to select the modal, and we want to toggle the class of toggle, which we will create now. After doing this, we want to say that clicked equals not clicked. So this means that when we create this, we're saying that when we click on that menu button, like we did earlier, we want it to display our modal, but we also want to be able to close it. So saying clicked equals not clicked will make it go away when we click it again. So now let's go into the styles.css, and we will name our stuff in here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to just code out that toggle class, and we're going to style it. So to make our modal display, we want to change the display back to flex. So what we're saying here is that by default, modal is displayed by none. But app.js will toggle this class, meaning it's going to kind of add it to this when we click it and remove it after it's on there. So now we have our .toggle class, and we have our display of flex. So now saving these, we will be able to go and run this page. Clicking on it will produce our modal, and clicking on it will close it. And then these just link to whatever page you want to go to, and you duplicate your modal up there at the top. All right, so hope this helps and that it's going to be appeasable for all of you working on your project.